Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You know on the beat every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming more to the sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, to listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all 3 speakers, go.
And what is going on, Man Hour Nation? It's your boy BC Beastie Brandon Combs coming at you here. Guys, if you have not already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, show us some love. Tell us how you feel about the show. You know, I was actually talking with somebody today, about how it's nice to actually hear whether or not people like the content, whether or not they like to, would listen to us if they didn't know us, if they weren't coworkers, or if they weren't friends, or if they weren't family. We certainly got a few of you out there. I know Drew's out there all the time, as I see pops up on the comment here. What's going on, Drew? We like to know that you guys like the content. So just, it doesn't hurt to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that share. Get your friends in here. Get people in here. We've got some exciting things happening. We've got a really exciting interview coming up here within the next few months. Not going to give it away. Not going to throw out the spoiler until we know it's confirmed. But it's 95% that it's going to happen. And it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. But I am all by myself again tonight. It's just me, myself, and I. It's kind of like being on the show with Buck, though. Always alone when you're with Buck. So we're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some Raiders to open up the show. Then we're going to get to Graham Wallace, who's going to be joining me. He's going to give us our NFL power rankings for the week. And then I think he's going to stick around. We might actually talk some baseball. Some stuff about youth coaches. I don't know if any of you guys heard about that Sacred Heart coach who's been suspended. So we'll talk about him a little bit. And then after Graham leaves us, we're going to talk a little bit of Micah Parsons. We'll also get to Combs' eye test tonight. Guys, I'm pumped up. It's going to be a great show. Let's get it started off right. Man Hour Nation, are you ready? Let's do this. So, the Las Vegas Raiders, I almost called them Oakland Raiders, as Drew's trying to get me fired up already, as he says AB is signing with the Bears. Would be a terrible thing for them to do to Justin Fields. But it's very Bears-like, so I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, the Raiders announced today that they're actually going to allow Nate Hobbs to play on Sunday Night Football. Now, for those of you who don't know, Nate Hobbs was arrested on Monday morning after a DUI charge. And for the Las Vegas Raiders especially, right? After all the stuff that they went through earlier in the season, to be this stupid and be this naive, it kind of speaks to only what the Las Vegas Raiders stand for, right? Las Vegas Raiders love going after players. They always have, back to when they were in LA, back to when they were in Oakland. Always loved the troubled guys. Always loved giving guys those extra chances. Always loved taking the guys who were, fresh out of the prison yard and putting them on their team. It's what they're known for. But to let a guy come in here and play a DUI after a DUI charge, after what you have already been through this season, is asinine. It's the dumbest thing that I have ever seen. What's going on, Alpha Rob? I see you there in the comments. What's going on? It's just stupid. Why would you allow this to happen after what you went through with Ruggs? With all the stuff with Henry Ruggs, DUI, killing a woman and her dog. He's in prison. He's going through he's out on bail awaiting trial or whatnot. But he's going to be in prison. Why would you allow this guy to play? Like, how did Nate Hobbs not learn from Henry Ruggs? How does Nate Hobbs, a grown-ass man, not learn from a mistake that was made by his teammate earlier in the year? But instead, he chose to get behind the wheel intoxicated, got caught, got arrested. And here's what interim coach Rob Bisaccia said. Obviously, we take that extremely serious within our team. It's a legal matter. And other than that, I have nothing else to say on the matter. What do you mean you have nothing else to say on the matter? Why? Because Sunday night could possibly be for a playoff spot? Because Sunday night is your win or get in or go home? So you're going to let this kid play? Let this kid continue on his career doing the same damn thing that his teammate did earlier in the season, which cost somebody their life, which cost somebody their daughter, cost somebody their sister, cost somebody their friend. And furthermore, why doesn't the NFL step in? How is the NFL allowing this to happen? You know how the NFL is allowing this to happen? Because it's Sunday Night Football. It's the last game of the year. They moved this game to prime time. It's going to be a game that decides a playoff spot. The NFL does not care about anything but money. They don't care that their players break the law. They don't care that their players have anger issues. They don't care about their players that have CTE. They don't care about anything. The NFL cares about money and how much money they can make. And this is a prime example of what the NFL does. This man chose to get behind a wheel intoxicated. Did he kill anybody this time? No. No, he didn't. But what if he did? What if this man got behind a wheel and something happened? It didn't, but shouldn't you send a message? Shouldn't you send a message be like, hey, stupid, wake up? Did you not just see your teammate, your brother, the guys who you guys all stood up behind? Didn't you just see what he went through? And you're going to go do the same damn thing? It boggles my mind. What's going on, Trent Mason? I see you in the comments. It boggles my mind that you could allow this to go on as the NFL. And maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it shouldn't. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Adrian Peterson still gets to be a running back, and he did, I wouldn't say much worse, because I never condone drinking and driving, especially with the ramifications of what could happen. But Adrian Peterson beat his son bloody in the genital area with a switch. and he still gets to play. Kareem Hunt kicked a woman while she was down. He still gets to play. Tyreek Hill. Perfect example. Thank you, Rob. Perfect example. Still gets to play. Still out there every week. Hell, Hall of Famer. Mr. Raven himself. Let's do a dance, Ray Lewis. Man had a body in his trunk. Body in his trunk. They gave him a yellow jacket. This is what the NFL stands for. Trent Mason says, I mean, look at Vic. You're right. Look at Vic. Look, I'm all about animals. I know Michelle is out there, and if she's listening right now, she hates Michael Vick to a passion. My wife absolutely hates Michael Vick. And I love dogs. We own a pit bull. Her name is Piper. It's the most lovable dog you'll ever meet in your entire life. Come break into my house, she'll lick you to death. Like, she'll sit down, probably run in her cage and pee. But Michael Vick, what he did was, to an extent, probably a little bit lesser than a DUI and taking somebody's life and having a body in the back of his trunk. Still despicable. Still despicable what he did. I didn't like the dogfighting. And like, Michael Vick got caught up with the wrong people, man. Michael Vick was from a really rough area in Virginia. Michael Vick got caught up with the wrong crowd. His brother Marcus didn't get away from it. So I don't know what it's going to take for the NFL to step in. I really don't. I don't know what it's going to take for the NFL to wake up and see that at some point they've got to send a message. What's it going to take? Is it going to take us to stop going to games? Is it going to take us to stop watching? Look, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We are a bunch of people who love our game. We are a bunch of people who will run after and watch every ounce of NFL that we can. That's why they went with Thursday night football and Monday night football, and now we've got Saturday night football, and they're trying to take over any day that they can. They'll give it to us 7 days a week if they can figure out a way to make it work. They don't care about player safety, obviously. They don't care about money. That's all they care about. But I don't know what's going to take for them to wake up, to see that what they've done and what they're doing is creating a culture which is allowing these guys to believe they are bigger than the law, which is allowing these guys to believe they can get away with anything. Look, a couple weeks ago, they had a running back playing. I can't remember what team it was on. Can't remember. Can't remember if it was a running back diving in the end zone, and when you slow it down, you see a little red light beeping through his sock. Man had an ankle bracelet on. An ankle bracelet. He's on house arrest. Playing in an NFL game. The NFL they just don't care. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm thoroughly surprised that Ray Rice never got a chance to come back and play in the league. Maybe it's just because he was a running back and they're so easily replaced. They felt like that was their statement, not allowing Ray Rice back in. His wife stayed with him, but the NFL didn't, which is kind of odd if you ask me, considering everything that the NFL stayed with. But Ray Rice got the axe. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter. Alpha Rob says it doesn't matter as long as you can run for touchdowns. Trent Mason says, hell, I haven't had a Sunday off in 4 weeks. I've had to watch Baltimore play on my phone. I've never seen a streak of 4 Sunday Night Football. You know, I don't know how the NFL is going to rebound from this. I don't know what the NFL is going to do. Are they going to stop this? Are they going to put a stop to it? No. They turned a blind eye to everything. They pick and choose what they're going to hold their stance on. I mean, look, it's funny to me that you've got guys like Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and now this guy here, right? This guy here got DUI, no suspension. Tom Brady took 2 pounds of air out of a football. And he got suspended for 4 games. Nate Hobbs got behind the wheel of a car drunk and got nothing. Nothing. No, play Sunday. We need you. It's Sunday Night Football. Playoffs are on the line. Money's on the line. I just don't get it. So let's get to the comments here. I see a lot of them rolling in. What's going on, Trent? What's going on, Alpha Rob? Michelle, I see you in the comments as well. I'm sure you've touched in on the Michael Vick thing. I see Man Hour, so it looks like Buck is in the chat. So let's get to some of these comments here. There's Michelle. Don't even get me started on Michael Vick. Drew says, I can understand. I despise DMX. He was a great artist, but a POS of a person. He was arrested for dogfighting as well. I saw those dogs. It's horrible. I agree. Look, when you treat an animal that way, in that manner, it's terrible. It really is. I mean, it's terrible. And to raise them for sport, you know, look, a lot of people argue if they were in the wild, they would be doing the same thing, right? I don't believe that. I've never seen a dog do that unless they were trained to do it. So I don't know. I'm not so sure that I agree with the other side of that. Let's see what we got here. We've got oh God, Buck, come on. Not even I didn't read it till I brought it up on screen. Drew says the only thing I can say about Lewis after prison, he did seem to turn things around and do good stuff. You talking about Ray Lewis? Ray Lewis didn't go to prison. Not that I remember. Ray Lewis got drafted, went straight to the Ravens. His buddies took the fall. Ray Lewis got off scot-free. Trent Mason says, great point, Combs. As long as you don't mess with the game itself, the NFL won't care. It's true. And I don't even see, so let's take that point, Trent. I don't even think the NFL cares if you mess with the game itself. I just think the NFL wanted to see somebody else have a chance to win, so they decided to suspend Brady for 4 games, not knowing that he would come back and run the table and win the Super Bowl still. I mean, that's what Tom Brady does. But if you want to talk about messing with the game, they don't do anything about these terrible referees we have. They don't do anything about all these stupid penalties you see week in and week out, picking and choosing what's a roughing the passer and what's not, picking and choosing what's a pass interference and what's not. I mean, it is horrendous what goes on around the league, and the NFL hasn't done anything about that yet. Drew says, nobody seems to remember that Brady was mic'd up when he supposedly called an opposing player a racial name. Yeah, look, you know, language, especially on the field, you know, it's bad, and you hear it all over the league. They actually finally started penalizing the N-word coming out because it was so often used, and I believe it was after Brady did it that they made it a penalty. And because they didn't want white players saying it, and with good reason, obviously. Drew says, I thought Ray Lewis did a year in jail or prison. I don't think he did. Are you talking about Ray Rice or Ray Lewis? Ray Lewis, I don't think did any prison time after he got caught with that body in the trunk because his buddies took the fall. But again, you got Nate Hobbs, who's going to play on Saturday. And for his coach to say, obviously we take that extremely serious within our team because of the Henry Ruggs thing is what he's referring to. Well, obviously you don't. Obviously you don't, Rich. Obviously you don't take it very seriously because if you did, this man would not be suiting up on Sunday night. So you don't take it seriously. That's a lie. That's a lie. But we're going to go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, get to a little bit more comments. And then Graham Wallace will be joining the show to do the weekly power rankings. Talk some youth coaches getting suspended for winning. Might even talk a little bit about baseball and the Hall of Fame voting. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. What is going on, Man Hour Nation? We are back, and the comment section is blowing up. Drew and Trent are talking about the dog fighting stuff. It's a tough subject. It's hard to talk about, so we're gonna go ahead and skip some of that. If you are joining us on Roku TV right now in the Northeast Streaming Sports Network, you could join us live, and you could be on the comments as well. We could talk. We can banter back and forth. You can get in on this too. You just got to come see us live on YouTube and Facebook every Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. Hop in the lives. That's when we record for everything, and we'll chat it up. We have no problem talking with our fans. We have no problem bringing everything in. Just make sure you come on, you subscribe, you hit that like button. And if you want to become a member of Man Hour Nation, all you have to do is go to manhourradio.com, become a member, click on the link. You can pick up all sorts of merch. We got our Beastie merch out there, which mine still is not come in the mail yet. I got to figure out where the hell that's at. You get your Beastie merch. We got hoodies. We got Man Hour stuff. We got phone cases. I got a phone case on my iPhone here. We got all sorts of Man Hour gear that you can buy in the shop. We got hats. It's getting cold out there, so we got winter hats. We've got hoodies. Hell, we got joggers. We've got socks. We got everything you can think of. One thing we don't have, though, yet, is Graham Wallace gear. And Graham Wallace is about to join me here, and he's going to bring the power rankings. And if you thought these power rankings couldn't get any worse, just wait. So, Graham, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Combs. Great to be with you, as always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, I was, I got a sneak peek at the power rankings. I was going through them. A couple surprises in there, but not terrible. I won't eat you alive too bad tonight. But you might yell at me once or twice to make my own damn rankings.
That's becoming a catchphrase for me. Yeah, maybe that could be on the Graham merch that's coming out later this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no agreement in place, but
so after you go through your rankings, do you look through it and be like, man, I wonder if I should have put this team here or I should have put that team there?
I do. Pending the amount of time I kind of have to spend on it to totally open the curtain on that. Yesterday's edition was fairly thrown together fairly quickly. I didn't have a ton of time to edit it, if I'm being completely honest, which is my the best policy, right? So there's some nitpicking to be done. I'm sure there's some holes to be poked at. It's late in the season, though. I was saying once you get past the first 10 or 12 teams, it's a bunch of there's a lot of slop there. So
right.
It's sometimes hard to organize that and figure out which of these mediocre teams should go over the other ones, especially when you're down to this part of the year when there's a bunch of teams that are eliminated, right?
Right. Well, one of the things I want to talk about is how the Bears are so high on your list.
Oh, what do you mean? They've won 2 in a row.
They are still the 42nd ranked team in the league.
I don't know. It's funny. There's times in the past, I don't know, a few weeks that I've looked at this team, especially on defense. They've got some players, Combs. I mean, there's not a lot to be excited about on the offensive side of the ball, including, Justin Fields has been impressive at times. The guy can't get a call to save his life, especially on the roughing the passers, right, or whatever. But on defense, these guys really have some playmakers. If you think about Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith, some of the guys on the secondary, I believe they had 4 Pro Bowlers on their defense. I mean,
yeah, Roquan Smith was not one of them. How is that possible?
Well, let's see. I guess it was Akeem Hicks, Mack. Robert Quinn, who said broke Richard Dent's over 30-year record for most sacks, and he did it in the 16th game. I will give him the credit for that. And I think someone in the secondary, the team better than I do.
But Roquan Smith has 157 tackles, right? To put that into perspective, Brian Urlacher's best year, he had 152.
Wow.
Roquan Smith is having one of those seasons that, I mean, he is very overlooked. Very overlooked.
Which is surprising because he was, there was a lot of hype on him coming out of, I believe it was Georgia. He was a top 10 pick. He was considered the best linebacker in America, in college football. So he's been a home run pick for the Bears. They just need, they need a lot. They need a new general manager. They need a new coach. Yeah. They might need a new quarterback soon. I'm not giving up on Justin Fields. I think he might be decent, but they need some receivers. Montgomery's decent, but they need I don't want to say a rebuild, but they need to retool that organization, and they're probably going to shuffle the deck with a new brain trust there.
I'm a little scared though, Graham. All the talk today in Chicago sports radio, and I listen to it all day long, was that Nagy is out, but Pace is probably going to stay. And I don't know how you sell that as Bears ownership, because I'm going to be, if Pace stays, for one, I'm going to be irate. For two, I'm going to want to listen to George McCaskey's interview on Monday, see how he explains this, because they've been talking all year long about how these two are a collaboration. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Now, how all of a sudden do you say, nope, never mind, it was just all Matt Nagy? It was just, like, I don't. And how do you let Ryan Pace hire a third coach?
That's a great question. It just went all wrong for this franchise so quickly, right? If you think about, was it 2018, the year they won, I think 12 games?
Yeah.
Allen Robinson had a really good year. Matt Nagy was a coach of the year. Was he coach of the year? He was at least a finalist. I mean, he definitely got some votes. They obviously lost that weird playoff game with the double doink, right? Which was disappointing before that even happened. But Matt Nagy, I mean, he got to the playoffs twice with Trubisky, who everyone wants to say is this terrible quarterback. I think he's a good backup for the Buffalo Bills here, but
he got to the playoffs twice with a good defense, not with Mitch Trubisky.
Well, that's the Bears, though, right? I mean, they won a Super Bowl with Jim McMahon, and they went to another one with Rex Grossman. So
right, exactly.
They don't have a history of good quarterback play, that's for sure.
So before you got on, Graham, I was talking. We got into the discussion here through the chat. I was talking about the Nate Hobbs thing with the Raiders, and they're saying they're allowing him to play. Now, I don't know if you heard, but Nate Hobbs got arrested Monday with a DUI, and after all the stuff that the Raiders went through with Ruggs, instead of sending a message, their head coach says, obviously, we take this extremely serious within our team, but it's a legal matter. And other than that, I have nothing else to say. Like, how do you still allow this guy to suit up for a game on Sunday Night Football?
That's a big drop in the end zone for me, if you will. I don't understand. A young person lost their lives, and a dog, I believe, as well, because of the actions of Henry Ruggs. I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care how much above the limit he was, how much higher the speed limit he was. You got to release him right away and send a message that, even though we're the silver and black and we have this history of having different kind of characters and some bad boys, when it comes to endangering people's lives, you got to cut ties with this guy. And the fact that they didn't do that sends a terrible message to the rest of the team and the league, really. But I mean, the NFL will continue to look the other way, right? Because that's generally what they do, unless it's something really egregious, right?
And well, even when it's egregious, they really look the other way. I mean, Ray Lewis had a body in the trunk. So I mean, they don't really they don't really care. They care about money, and that was my big thing. Was that what happened was, this is a Sunday Night Football game where the winner gets in, and the NFL is not going to let anybody mess with their money.
No. Well, I mean, what if Jacksonville pulls off the stunner and beats the Colts, and then we see Derek Carr and Justin Herbert kneel down about 58 times.
I heard about that.
Game,
so
both teams get in.
For those of you listening that don't know, if the Colts or if the Jaguars pull off the stunner and beat the Colts earlier in the day, and the Chargers and Raiders tie, both of them get in, and the Colts are out, and the Steelers are out too. I believe that knocks the Steelers out. I saw somebody says if that's the way the Steelers get knocked out of the playoffs, they're going to go play in traffic. But if that happens, is there any chance we see that happen though? They just they don't play the game at all. They play it like it's the Pro Bowl.
So I already thought about this, and stranger things have happened. Maybe Wentz throws 5 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor gets injured early on, and they blow that game. The NFL will release a statement saying, you guys better play and play hard tonight. A lot of eyeballs will be on this game. Someone has to win this game. I don't know how they do that. Maybe it's not a public message, but they send that message to both teams because, I mean, nobody wants that, right?
No, I mean, look, but it would be, who wants it? Raiders fans and Chargers fans. They're like, guys, look, hear me out on this one, right? Let's just play it like it's the Pro Bowl, go throw the ball downfield. Let's see a 55-55 game, and let's go home happy. And I just could. It would be a smart move, right? I mean, it really would. It'd be a WWE move. That would be more WWE move than what we saw out of Antonio Brown this past weekend.
Oh my gosh. Were you surprised about that at all? Or, I mean,
I was sad by it because I watch a guy who had all the talent in the world, who was probably suffering from CTE. He was a jerk before, that hit by Perfect. But he's clearly not the same person, not the same player, not the same anything since he took that hit where his head looked like. I showed a buddy of mine that video clip the other day. He had never seen it, and when he saw it, he's like, "Oh my god, did he lose his head?" Like he really thought that his head fell off after he saw the hit. And it was a violent hit, and look, I thought it was funny. I love chaos. I'm all about chaos. I always said that the coolest thing ever would have been Bill Belichick after they traded Jimmy G, and everybody knew Bill Belichick wanted him. If after they won that Super Bowl, if in his press conference he would have taken off his hoodie and had a Jimmy G jersey under it, and then left to go coach San Francisco,
Yeah.
But no, the Antonio Brown thing doesn't really necessarily shock me because he's just. I mean, he's a few French fries short, right? Like that's just just how it goes. But no, it didn't really necessarily surprise me. What speaking of surprises, let's get to your power rankings here.
Let's do it.
The guys outside of your top 10 through let's say 11 through 14.
Okay.
Which of those guys was the hardest to keep out of the top 10?
Well, I'd probably say the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor is a legit MVP candidate. We both know he won't win it because he's not a quarterback, but he has a great chance at a 2,000-yard season. He has a really good chance of breaking the franchise touchdown record as well. I believe it's held by Eric Dickerson. So he's just having a fantastic season. And he's kind of taken the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands, which that sounds like a knock on him, but I think he's one of those quarterbacks. He does better when he throws the ball 30 times or less. And we've seen him have a lot of success this year. He's limited the turnovers, and they don't have an elite receiving core, I wouldn't say, but they have a decent one. And when he's able to run the play action and things like that, they're a really dangerous team. And they've got an underrated defense, I would say as well. So they were definitely close to being in my top 10. They lost to the Raiders, which was a tough loss for them. Also the Eagles quietly are really coming on. They've won, I believe, 5 of the last 6. I don't know if they're a legit team or not, but I didn't expect them to be this good. I thought they'd win about 7 games or so this year.
Yeah, that's where I had them.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is showing that he might be the answer there. If you think about the rushing yards he's piling up, and he's showing some ability to throw the ball down the field as well. But probably those couple of teams, they're all kind of in that same mix. The Chargers are right there as well.
They're actually part of the crazy stat of the day, which we do every day before the show. And today, the crazy stat of the day was that the Philadelphia Eagles are the 7th seed, and they've clinched a playoff spot. But the 6th seed, the San Francisco 49ers, have not clinched a playoff spot.
It's bizarre. And they're playing the Rams, and they're going to probably have to play Trey Lance again. That's, to me, one of the most intriguing matchups of Week 18. Are they going to be able to find a way to win that game? Remember, the Rams still have a chance they don't have a chance at the number 1 seed, but they could be as high as number 2. I know Packers have already sewn up that number 1 seed, but Rams are still going to be trying to win that game and maybe eliminate the 49ers, a divisional rival. So that could be a really interesting game.
If the Niners are out, that means the Saints are in.
The Saints, they're the only other team that's in contention, right? Vikings are out.
Everybody else is out.
WFT is out. Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely a lot on the line in Week 18. It should be a fun weekend of football. A couple games on Saturday, not as much consequence, and then it'll wrap up with that Sunday night, hopefully a thrilling matchup with the Raiders and the Chargers.
Yeah, that'll be a good matchup. It will be a good matchup. But now I'm really rooting for the Chargers after this Nate Hobbs thing.
Yeah,
but
same.
So who you got at number 10?
So number 10, they were a little higher in recent weeks, but a bit of a damaging divisional loss a couple weeks ago. New England Patriots, they're 10-6. They've clinched the playoff spot. They still have a chance to win the division, but they're going to need a stumble from the Buffalo Bills. Look, they put a hurting on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They put up a 50 burger on them. Mac Jones is clearly the best passer in this rookie class. They got the running game going with Damian Harris and co. Matthew Judon has the defense flying around as well. Look, this is a dangerous team. I think they're more of a dark horse. They're not one of my top 3 teams to really make a big impact in the playoffs. But if they got all the way to the championship game or even the Super Bowl, it wouldn't stun me. But I do think this is more of a developmental year for the Patriots, which seems weird for them winning possibly 11 games. But, Mac Jones has been as advertised. And I think, I hate to say this, but another great coaching job by Bill Belichick.
don't we all hate to say that, but we have to say it just about year in and year out. Look, I'm with you. The New England Patriots at 10 doesn't surprise me. I don't think that they are as good as they were on that little run that they went on. I think that run was aided by a lot of soft scheduling right there in the middle.
Yeah.
And they were the benefit of a bunch of key injuries right there in the middle as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure they're as good as what it seems, because when they play those really good defenses, they get shut down. And then they play the Jacksonville Jaguars and put up 50, and everybody forgets the fact that they, go up against a good defense and they get shut down and can't put up more than, 15, 17 points against them. So,
yeah,
I'm fine with the New England Patriots being at 10. Who we got at 9?
I got the Cincinnati Bengals. You could certainly make the case that they could be a little higher. They've won 3 in a row. This was my favorite game on Sunday, the shootout air show against the Kansas City Chiefs. They found themselves down a couple of touchdowns. How about Joe Burrow? Almost 1,000 yards passing over the last 2 games, 8 touchdowns. Jamar Chase is just incredible. 266 yards receiving on those 11 receptions and 3 more touchdowns. This might be the best air attack in the NFL. I'm just not sure if they're going to win any games in the playoffs, because that's something they haven't been able to do since, I believe, the 1990s. Now, I know that doesn't have anything to do with this team, but sometimes it does. Sometimes history creeps in and the team just can't seem to figure things out, especially in the playoffs. I really like this team. I'm happy for Zach Taylor turning things around in his 3rd season. He needed something like this. He only won 2 in 5 games his first 2 years. He's been able to double up on that. I really like this team. I don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs, because they've been pretty inconsistent before this 3-game hot streak they've been on.
Yeah, I really like the Bengals. This one here for me right now, I think I'd have the Bengals a little bit higher than 9. I really believe that this team is the real deal. I really believe that this team is geared for the future as well. They're going to be a good team for a long time, and they can go out there, man, and they could put up points. They could put up a lot of points. And what Jamar Chase and them did this weekend against Kansas City, to me, proved without a shadow of a doubt that they're a top 4, top 5 team right now in the AFC. And so I that's why for me at 9, I think is just a little low for them.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I love this Joe Burrow kid. He's just got a lot of moxie, I guess you'd call it. He's got this kind of spirit of get on my back, boys. I'm going to get us the W, no matter what it takes. And there's just something kind of inspiring about him. So he's been a cool guy to watch, and a great pick for the Bengals for sure.
Buck is in there with how about the refs? He wants to blame the refs for his Kansas City Chiefs losing.
You
to
know
the
what,
Cincinnati
Buck?
Bengals.
I will give you a bit of love on that one. I thought that was you know what? When I first saw it, actually, I thought it was a terrible pass interference call. But when I saw it the second time, I believe they actually called defensive holding, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
And he did get his arm right up in the guy's kind of shoulder pads. Was the ball uncatchable though? I think that's the other kind of side.
Here's
of
what
it.
I say about it, Graham.
Yep.
League wide, officiating has been terrible. Every team has been the victim of bad officiating this year.
Yeah.
So suck it up, Buck. Suck it up.
All right. Yeah. It's tough when you see it kind of affect the outcome of the game. But I mean, they were going to kick a field goal probably to win anyways, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or was that fourth down? Was that fourth down?
No, it wasn't fourth down.
It wasn't. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Actually, yes, it was fourth down. It was fourth down because I gave him first and goal.
Tough break, but I mean, Chiefs have been getting their fair share of the breaks. It sucks for them because it cost them their shot at the number 1 seed. But who knows what'll happen in the last set of games.
Yeah, and then Alpha Rob comes through and defends your Bills. He says, "Deal with it, Buck." Diggs got PI versus Tampa and got no call.
Alpha Rob, yes, very right about that. I was not very happy about that call. I was kind of preoccupied with the Grey Cup festivities going on that evening, and even more disappointed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats unable to bring it home against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But Alpha Rob, nice one there for sure.
All right, so who's at 8?
So number 8, we got the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what happened. Oh, yeah, they suffered a loss against the Arizona Cardinals. Really good bounce back game for Arizona. That doesn't really affect their standing too much for me. I know you're going to be talking about Micah Parsons a little bit later. This guy's just been unbelievable. Anything you want to say about him? The second coming of Lawrence Taylor is maybe a bit much, but he could do it all. He could line up as a linebacker, defensive end. He could blitz. He could cover. He could tackle like nobody's business. He's just been a really great guy to watch. This was a bit of a disappointing loss for sure at home against Arizona, but I'm going to give the Cardinals some credit for this one. They really needed it. It was a good road performance, which they've been kind of prone to coming up with. So that didn't really affect my status, their status that much. The whole thing with the Bengals we were talking about earlier, the reason I have them at 9 is just the teams I have ahead of them. I just like them a little bit more. Cowboys have been better than I thought they'd been all year. They're one of the best teams in the NFC. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. I know Buck's been kind of on this train for quite some time.
He still hasn't gone to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
I don't know if I'm quite there with them, but I think if you're a Cowboys fan, a division title and possibly a playoff win at home, that's a pretty good season.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are a very good team. I think the Cowboys are a dangerous team in the NFC. I think they could play with anybody. They could beat anybody on any given Sunday. I don't think that they are. God. This guy. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are one of those teams that has the potential to be very, very good, but just always finds a way to shoot themselves in the foot. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys have kind of been over the last, 25 years, right?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with them at 8 because they're probably going to be one of those teams where they suffer a disappointing loss either in the wild card round or the divisional round. And then we won't have to talk about them anymore. And Buck will go cry in his Cheerios.
Yeah, it's been a long time since they've been in a championship game. I believe it was 1996 against the Kerry Collins-led Carolina Panthers.
Didn't Romo took him to a NFC title game, right? Or no?
Did he?
I thought he did. Wasn't that the one where he fumbled the freaking field goal snap? He went out to go hold the snap and he botched it.
In my memory, that was a wild card game against the Seahawks.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, and that was his first year. He kind of busted out into the fold, and everyone was kind of like, well, that's okay because he's going to be really good for a long time. And he was pretty good for a pretty long time, but he didn't really get that playoff success. They were the number 1 seed one year, but they blew it. I think it was against the Giants. So...
Yeah, Tony Romo just makes me want to punch him in the throat now, though, listening to him on CBS.
Do you not like him on the
I don't.
the
broadcast
with Jim Nantz?
No, he's just he was great his first season. He was really good his first season, but then after that, everybody started telling him how good he was, and then he started believing it. And it was just like he was as a quarterback. He just started fumbling everything.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I'm actually the opposite. it took me a little while to come around to him, and I actually enjoy his games, but it's not my favorite broadcast crew, but they usually get some pretty good games. So, I mean, Jim Nantz can't go wrong, right?
True. Who you got at 7?
Number 7 is the team we just kind of talked a little bit about. It's a bit of a toss-up for me here, but I gave them the nod since they just beat the team in front of them, the Arizona Cardinals. This team was kind of trending in a really downward kind of spiral, if you will. They were 10-1, I believe. Losers of 4 in a row, including 1 to the lowly Detroit Lions. I had them outside. We didn't do this last week, but just for whatever reference, I think I had them just outside the top 10. I think I had them somewhere in the 11 when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do.
What?
I know.
Dropped them out of the top 10?
I did.
They lost 2 out of they lost 3 in a row, but 2 of those 3 were to the Rams and Colts. And those were tight games.
Yeah.
The only game they got blew out against was the Lions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about what you just said there, though.
Yeah, but I mean, look, they were looking ahead to the damn Colts, and they just got into a tough game with the Rams. So, I mean,
classic trap game. But I mean, if you think about what that's cost them, a possible division title, I still, there's some questionable chemistry or lack thereof with Kyler Murray and especially AJ Green. They were able to get some other guys step up at the receiver position. Wesley caught a touchdown. The run game kind of came through, and this is a solid defense. I really like this team, and I think they've kind of woken up. I believe they could get a win over Seattle in the last week. 12-5. That's a rock solid season. That's a really good season. It's an inexperienced team as far as the playoffs are concerned, for the most part, especially with their leader Kyler Murray, who was really like a red hot MVP candidate for the first month or two of the season. He kind of cooled off a bit. He got hurt. Colt McCoy came in and did a really nice job for 2 of the 3 games he played. A bit of a stinker against Carolina. But look, I like this team. It's similar to the way I feel about the Bengals. I just don't know how they're going to respond to the pressure cooker that is the playoffs. The good thing they have in their kind of back pocket, if you will, is they play great on the road. They've only got 1 loss, I think, on the road. And they're going to have to win at least 1, probably 2 or 3 games. Probably at least 2 games, I'd say, on the road in the playoffs if they want to get to the Super Bowl. So they're well tuned to do that. I'm not sure if this is their year.
Yeah, look, this is as dangerous as a team as you're going to get, especially if they come out as a wild card team. Now, I see that Buck says that they will lose their division. The Rams will win it. I wouldn't be so sure. The Rams got the 49ers, and the last time the Rams played the 49ers, they lost 31-10. So it's not a given that they're going to beat the 49ers, and the 49ers need this win to get into the playoffs. So I wouldn't say that they're not going to win the division, but if they don't win the division, this is a dangerous team coming out of that wild card for the fact that you said they play really well on the road. 8-1 on the road this year, and I believe their only loss on the road this year was to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is just one of those teams that gears up when they're not at home for whatever reason, which is odd, right? It's odd that a team is 8-1 on the road. They have 11 wins, which means that they're 3-4 at home. That's
I don't know if it's
insane.
Less pressure or what it is, but it's over. It's not just like the sample size is the entire season. It's not just 1 or 2 games. So that's a little different, but like I said, it's a good team. I'm not expecting them to make a deep playoff run. However, if they do that, Kyler Murray's a really dangerous player, and
Buck's an idiot.
It wouldn't stun me.
Buck, the Lions are not good. They've never been good. They're just not good.
Maybe
you know what they're good at? You know what they're good at? They're good at ruining careers. They're
Calvin
good at
Johnson,
wasting talent.
Barry Sanders,
Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
All right. Who you got at number 6?
The number 6 is my Buffalo Bills.
Homer.
Yeah, you could maybe say that. Look, Cobes, I was thinking about it. To me, there's 3 teams that I expect to. Obviously, only one of them can do it. That are going to be real big players in the AFC playoffs, and the Bills are one of them. However, there's a few things about this team, even though they've been trending in the right direction lately, 3 wins in a row. that I think they still need to work on. I think they need to incorporate the run game. With Devin Singletary's coming off a big performance against the Falcons. They need to block. Their offensive line has shown some weaknesses at times, especially Spencer Brown, undrafted rookie out of Northern Iowa, and sometimes their run defense is a little leaky as well. These are the kind of concerning things about this team for me. But they got a lot of depth at receiver. Think about Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, and Stephon Diggs, who's probably a top 5 receiver. Dawson Knox, Josh Allen's really feeling it right now. He's about as talented an athlete as there is at the quarterback position. He just makes too many dicey throws for my liking. I'm on my couch, putting the blanket over my face at times because it's tough to watch the way he puts the ball in harm's way. That being said, he does things that no one else can do except for maybe Cam Newton in his first maybe 5 or 6 seasons. This guy's unbelievable. Bills can win the Super Bowl. They can do it. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but they have the talent and they have the drive. And I think that's been their mindset from day one of this season. We don't really care if we lose some games. They had a stinker against Jacksonville. We want to get to where we need to be in February. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but they have the ability to do that.
Yeah, look, I really like this Buffalo Bills team. I picked them before the season started to go to the Super Bowl. Picked them to lose their 5th straight Super Bowl, but I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl. And so I really do like this team. I believe in this team. I think that the defense is good enough. I believe their offense is good enough. I believe they can come out of this AFC and end up as the representative in the Super Bowl, even after, not having the season I thought they would have. I believe I had them at 13-4 this season, or 14-3, somewhere around there. Yeah. I was a real big believer in this team. So they're, I'm with you there. I'm okay with them at 6. I have no problems there. We get into your top 5 here. We've got the Titans at 5, Chiefs at 4, Rams at 3, Bucks at 2, Packers at 1. I don't think there's any surprise with any of that there. I think if you wanted to argue anything, you might be able to argue that the Chiefs are better than the Rams, but that's just splitting hairs at that point. So your top 5 look really damn good to me. This is going to be a fun playoff. Now, let me ask you this question here. Going into the final week of the NFL season, we've got 2 spots open for the AFC wild card, and 4 of the 5 teams that are left are playing against each other. The Rams play the Chargers play the Raiders, and the Steelers play the Ravens. The Colts play the Jaguars. Let's just say they're in. So you got 4 teams vying for 1 spot. Who gets that spot?
So we're already kind of saying, like, we're not counting the Colts in that?
I would assume. I mean, do you think the Jaguars are going to beat the Colts?
No.
Okay. All right. So,
I do
the Colts
not.
Are in.
So I'm going to give an edge to the Chargers, and if they're able to win, I mean, they won the first game against the Raiders, and that's no indication they're going to win the second. But I do think they're a better team. I like Herbert. He had a bit of a stinker against Houston a couple weeks ago, but I think they are capable of winning that game. And by doing so, that would eliminate both Pittsburgh and Baltimore, who, you know what, Combs, I'll give you credit. They were 8-3 or 8-5 or whatever they were. And you said, they might not win another game. I still had them in my top 10, and that was a clunker by me.
They were 8-3.
Crushed that. So obviously Lamar Jackson, them losing him was a big reason for that. Tyler Huntley looked okay at times. That's not really the reason they were losing ball games necessarily.
No, they lost 2 ball games because their coach is an idiot and didn't want to play into overtime.
Yeah, I think some serious questions about John Harbaugh. I mean, he's got a lot of good juju, if you will, with that organization. I don't think they're going to fire him or anything, but definitely some questionable things when you lose 2 games. Alpha Rob, Bills versus Packers Super Bowl. I love that. When
I don't.
Games like
you
that.
You do not put the Packers in the Super Bowl, Alpha Rob. You are kicked off this show, buddy.
Oh boy. When you lose games like that, the coaching, this fan base is really going to question the coaching staff, and I just thought Ravens had a at least a decent, maybe 10-win season in front of them, and they found a way to blow it. They might be able to get to 9, but it probably won't be enough to get in. So that's got to be pretty disappointing for Ravens fans.
Yeah, and the Steelers too. I mean, the Steelers are battling now. If the Raiders win and the Colts win and the Steelers win, the Steelers are in, right? And the Raiders are out.
Well, Colts, Raiders. Oh, I guess so. It was really weird on Monday night because they were like, oh, they need Jacksonville to win, I thought, and then they need that Sunday night game to not be a tie, which is really vague, but like 99% of games are not ties. So
if the Jaguars pull this off somehow, look, I'm not a big fan of the Jaguars, but I might be pulling for them on Sunday just for all the chaos that can ensue.
Yeah,
just for all the chaos that can ensue, because I mean that just makes, to me, it's more fun that way. I don't have look. My team's out. My team's been out since last January when they announced they were keeping Pace and Nagy. So I have no horse in the race whatsoever. I'm just looking for chaos. I'm looking for all the things to go wrong that can go wrong. Graham, you got a minute to stick around with us? We go to a break and then come back, talk about some youth sports coaches.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Stay with us. 2 minutes. We're gonna talk about these youth sports and how stupid people are. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. It is Man Hour. It's your boy Brandon BC Brandon Combs, along with Graham Wallace. If you have not yet hit that like button, definitely click that like, click that share, subscribe, do all the things that are free to you but mean so much to us. We appreciate all of it. And Drew had this question during the break, man, and I really wanted to touch on this. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks that have started the season, which one do you think is the most underrated?
For me, it's got to be Davis Mills, the passer out of Stanford, playing for the Houston Texans. I kind of blanked on his
Wow.
school there for a second. To me, I didn't really have to think a lot about this either. You know, Mac Jones, we've talked about a home run hitter, or I shouldn't say home run. It's a home run draft pick for the Patriots, especially at 15, the third overall or the fifth quarterback selected, I should say.
Right.
You know, Lawrence has been a disappointment. Let's just be honest.
I called it.
Right. Wilson has been pretty terrible for most of the season. Fields has had some decent moments here and there, but he's getting crunched. And then who's the one I'm blanking on? Trey Lance hasn't really gotten a lot of action. His grade is incomplete for me. I really like what I've seen out of Mills. If you think about who he's playing with, his completion percentage is pretty high. It's in the 66th percentile. So I think he's shown some toughness. Is he the answer for the Texans moving forward? I don't know. He's probably a good backup, but he may parlay this into another opportunity for himself further down the road, especially if you consider, I believe he was a 3rd round pick. Pretty good value for the Texans with that selection.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a homer here. I'm gonna say it's Justin Fields. I'm gonna say the fact that Justin Fields has had some bad games, hasn't won very many this year, has been all due to the coaching. It's been due to the fact that instead of playing to his strengths, they want him to adjust to their playbook. And it hasn't worked whatsoever for Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I've seen so many great things out of him in losses. I've seen better things out of him in losses than I ever did during our tenure with our best quarterback of all time, Jay Cutler. I've seen more out of losses than I did with Jay Cutler or that I did with Mr. Trubisky. Justin Fields is the real deal. Justin Fields learns. He reads. He will not. That's the thing I love most about Justin Fields. He does not make the same mistake twice. And nothing proved that more to me than the game against the Packers, where in Green Bay at Lambeau Field on Sunday Night Football, he throws the interception. They take it back for a pick six, and he comes right back the very next drive and leads the Bears downfield for a touchdown. That is the growth and the stuff I want to see out of Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is probably right now the most underrated quarterback because I don't think enough people put into stock how bad the situation is for him there. Not only the offensive line, but the coaching staff that just does not put him in a position to succeed. So I'm going with him there. Alpha Rob said David Mills is better than Mac Jones.
Wow. I don't know if I'm willing to say that, but he is my second favorite quarterback in this draft class. I echo a lot of what you said there about Fields there, Combs. Showed a lot of toughness. For me, it was the Steelers game, a game that they were robbed in. He was just getting hit after the whistle. There was a couple plays that they should have called penalties on. That ridiculous Jimmy Graham, I think they called a chop block on him or something on a goal line touchdown. So I like what I've seen out of Fields. Calling David Davis, is it David? I think it's Davis Mills, isn't it? Is it David or Davis?
Davis Mills.
I mostly went off the board with him because he was a later round selection. He wasn't a top 10 pick. He wasn't a first round pick. Calling him better than Mac Jones, I don't know. Now, if you put him on the Patriots, would he have success and would he lead them to wins? Yeah, I do think he would. It all depends on the situation you kind of find yourself in and the team you land on, the system, the coaching, all that. So, you know, if you land on a lousy team, look at Zach Wilson. You know, the Jets are always rebuilding, always moribund. So it's not surprising, although they pretty good performance for them, almost pulling off the stunner against the Bucs on Sunday.
Buck just got me all. I started frantically going through everything to see if this is true. Says Rob Manfred is out as MLB commish.
No.
If that, God, please let that be true.
Wow.
I just checked every source out there. I checked ESPN, MLB.com. I don't see anything. I think Buck's just trying to ruffle feathers, and he got me all excited. My pants got about 4 inches shorter. I was all excited, but I don't think he's out as MLB commission, but he needs to be out as MLB commission. We could touch on that in a few minutes here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard the story, but you hear about the Sacred Heart coach?
I heard a little bit about this. I didn't know the name of the school. I heard more about the score.
Yeah.
and kind of the story and the bit of a fire that it set off,
right.
if you will.
So for those of you that don't know, Sacred Heart is a school. I believe they're in New York. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's where they're out of. They apologized and suspended their head coach because they beat Lyman Hall 92-4, stating that it didn't align with their values or philosophies. Now, this sparked a debate on Facebook, and I got into it with a couple of people out there. We just had a difference of opinion, which is fine. We can disagree. We have different opinions. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But my take on this is, why do you hire a head coach in any sport, at any school or any program anywhere? You hire the coach to win games. You hire the coach to develop your players. And to me, and this is my argument, you can't tell kids to stop playing their hardest, stop being good because the other team isn't as good. Or it shouldn't even be, obviously, probably shouldn't be in the same league, right? I mean, this is probably one of those teams that just, maybe they only have 7 students in their school and all 7 of them are on the dang girls basketball team, and none of them have ever played basketball a day in their life. But I once coached a youth basketball team, 6th grade boys, and we had 7 kids on the team. 7 kids. Not very much bench time for anybody. Everybody got a lot of playing time. We once lost a game 57-0.
Oh,
57-0. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't yell at the other coach. I didn't tell the coach that he was being unfair or that he was being unsportsmanlike. I went to my kids and I said, guys, look, if we don't want to get beat like this, if we don't want to have our heads caved in every time, we need to put in more time in the gym. Let's go to work. Let's learn more. Let's shoot more. Let's do some more defensive drills. Let's learn how to do things better so that this doesn't happen again. And we did that. We started having 2-hour practices instead of 1-hour practices. We lost a few more games along the way, but we won our last 4. And then the next year, those same 7 kids came back in the 7th grade, and we went to the playoffs. Because they didn't just sit there and be like, oh, man, we got beat. They shouldn't have played so hard. They shouldn't have been so rough. No, they went out and they did their thing. That team deserved to win 57-0. Just like I'm sure Sacred Heart deserved to win 92-4. What are they supposed to do? What do you want? What is the coach supposed to, when he's up 56-0 at halftime, is he supposed to go up and is he supposed to say, you know what, we're just going to forfeit the second half. This team wins because we're so much better than them. We're just going to give them a win. Was he supposed to just tell these kids not to shoot the ball anymore? Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation as a coach in youth sports?
Okay, so I'll go back to where you started it. What's the objective of the coach? What's the purpose of the coach? What is his directive? What is his objection? What is he or she? It could be a woman. What is that person?
It's a man. It's
job,
a man.
Right? It's typically a man. Becky Hammond's doing some great things in basketball. She got a job with the Las Vegas Aces, so I don't want to discredit women at all. But when we're talking about young men and women, I would add on to the winning and getting better and developing all that is there's also responsibility to instill a sense of sportsmanship and, beating the brakes off a team and beating them by 88 points is pointless. It's unnecessary. It doesn't need to happen. I'm not saying stop shooting or stop trying to play, but there's something called calling the dogs off. We see it in NFL. Look, John Harbaugh was pissed about the Bengals throwing deep when they were up by 3 touchdowns late in the game. John Harbaugh's a really whiny guy. He likes to whine a lot when things don't go for him, as we've seen a lot this season. But when it's kids, that's just really hard for them. I don't necessarily agree with you here. I think when you're up by, say, 30, 40 points, maybe stop the press, maybe stop the trapping, maybe use more of the shot clock. I'm okay with that. It's the same when you play against your little brother who's maybe 5 or 6, 7 years younger. You go 100%. Do you go all the way? I don't think you do all the time.
Look,
Maybe at first.
I go all the way when I'm playing my 5-year-old in the driveway. Okay, like I'm done out because you've got to teach your kids that it's okay to lose, and that it's okay that kids are there's better athletes out there than what you are, and if you want to be better, that's how you get better. You play athletes that are better athletes. You play against teams that are better. Now look, they led 56-0 at halftime. They scored less than 40 points in the second half. And they stopped playing the press defense. They stopped doing all that. The one thing that they did say was they kept doing they were still doing fast breaks. They were still doing, other things. But this isn't the only lopsided victory they had. They beat another team 82-48 earlier in the season, another team 80-37. The only difference there is those teams were able to score
some points.
So,
I don't know how
this
this
team to hit their shots.
Had 2 buckets even. How did they even get 2 buckets? It just gets to a point where it's really demoralizing and you're beating a team into the ground. And these are, 12, 13-year-old girls. Life will beat you up. You might go to work and you might burn yourself in the fryer on your first day or something. That's a kick.
Graham, do you play Madden?
I'm more of an old school Madden guy. I don't really play a lot of the more recent. Every once in a while, I'll play.
Was there ever a more satisfying feeling than playing a game of Madden than seeing that bar come across the screen that says your opponent has left the match?
Oh, like online play?
Yes. Yeah, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it feels great. Or even
right. Graham, why didn't you stop scoring on him? Why didn't you allow him to get back into the game?
I don't know if I won a game by 14 touchdowns or whatever it would be, the equivalent of that. Look, I'm not really going to come around to your side on that, and that's okay. I think teams, especially youth teams, when they're still learning sportsmanship, still learning about the game, still learning about life, I think they need to take it easy. You play the kids on the end of the bench. You don't run the trap anymore. You don't run the fast break. I know every minute of the game is a chance to get better. I understand that, but so is practice. So
from what I understand, he did put his bench players in the second half, but they still played and they didn't do a press anymore, but they still played tough man-to-man defense, and he's playing his bench players. These are the bench players' time to play. They want to go out there and whoop these kids' butts too. They want to get their scores because you know what? Their parents are in the stands watching them play, and they're finally getting some playing time. Like I get the idea of the sportsmanship, teaching kids sportsmanship, teaching kids all that. But what I don't like is when parents think that the kids that are finally getting a chance to play shouldn't all of a sudden try to play hard. Like that's not fair to those kids getting into the game. And it's just the kids, they don't think, like, the kids aren't in there thinking, oh, you know what, guys, we're up by a lot. Let's step back. We might do that in like men's league softball, where if we're up by 20 runs and be like, hey, guys, let's just, base to base, get your base hit, but one base at a time, right?
Stop at first, yeah.
But even still, we still hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
We try to go base to base and put up another 20 runs.
Yeah.
Like
it's a tough one. I don't know. It's kind of like, we grew up in the same era, probably. Were there fights in your high school?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember fights after school?
God, yeah.
Sometimes it would just be a mismatch. It'd be a big guy and a little guy, or sometimes it'd be a little guy beating up a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
And after a while, the guy got him down, maybe punched him a few times when he was down. That's it. He's done.
Graham, this may come as a shock to you, but I have a big mouth. And that got me in trouble a lot in high school.
Yeah.
And I got beat up a lot in high school.
Okay.
So yeah, like I get it. I mean, there are mismatches, but you know what? You showed up. You still showed up to the fight.
Yep.
If you didn't want him to beat you up so bad, don't show up to the
fight. That's more like me.
And to me, I would almost say, what the hell is the athletic director of this other school that only put up 4 points? What are they doing putting them in a game like this?
That is a great question. It's kind of like when Mercer plays Alabama or something. You got to feel for these young men. How do you go hard when you're down 68-3 or whatever the score is? Halfway through the third quarter, it's tough. It's a mismatch. It's ugly, I would say, and it's something I wouldn't want my son or daughter to go through, because it's, you could say about the character and honestly, Coach Combs, that's a very inspiring story. You could turn it around. Where could we go from here? Maybe next game we only lose by 30, but it could also, I bet you some of those kids didn't want to play basketball again after that. And that's,
look, as a coach, I'm very pro teaching kids that want to play the game. I'm very pro, if you're a teachable kid, that for one, that says a lot for your parents. That's always a kudos to the parents, is when your kid is coachable. I once cut my own son from my baseball all-star team.
You didn't,
because he showed up to tryouts, to all-star tryouts, and thought he was going to get on the team. He was good. He was very talented, but he thought he was going to get on the team just because I was coaching it. And so when he showed up to tryouts, he was just messing around, playing with his friends the whole time, struck out twice and missed three ground balls. Oof. And the kid that, may not have made the team had my son actually showed up to practice, showed out and he balled out. And my son missed the cut. I'm sorry, kid. Like that's
I love it. I honestly love it.
You have to learn how to lose in life. Yeah. You have to. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, if you can accept losing, you can't win. And that's for me, that stuck with me a long time. And as it turns out, it's a Green Bay Packers head coach, Vince Lombardi, who said it. If you can accept losing, you can't win. And to me, that just always stuck with me. And so I've just always instilled that in my kids too. It's like, look, you have to learn how to lose, because I can't just always say, if you just think you're always going to win in life, you're never going to expect disappointment.
Yeah,
and it's going to hurt that much more.
I thought you were going to hit me with the winning's not the only thing. Oh, wait, winning's not everything. It's the only thing? Is that how it is?
No, I mean, look, that's how I am at games. Michelle will tell you, even when we're playing phase 10 with my mother-in-law, like, I'm ruthless. Like, I will watch your cards. I will skip whoever. I don't care.
Buddy, I'm a competitor too. I hate to lose. It just gets to a point when I just kind of feel for the other team when they're getting their doors blown off. But hey, we disagree a little bit here, but that's okay.
So Buck came through with something before we started this conversation. He said that Rob Manfred was out as commissioner. And I really hope that at some point that's true. I don't think it's true right now.
I haven't been able to corroborate that.
Yeah, I'm looking through everything. I don't see it anywhere on anything. And the first place it would be MLB.com.
Are they? I don't think they're up and running yet, right? Like they don't have any content.
Well, they fired everybody.
Stuff?
They fired everybody.
Rosenthal, yeah.
For talking about Manfred,
unbelievable.
I mean, look, is Rob Manfred not the biggest joke of a commissioner we've ever had?
You mean in any sport?
In any sport.
I'm not a big fan of Roger Goodell. If you think about the Ray Rice thing and some of the other things, I think he's all about the bottom line. And he's not really about human decency a lot of the times. Right. I don't like Roger Goodell. I actually really like Manfred when he first kind of took over for Bud Selig, who obviously was done. But the last few years, he's really kind of soured things for me. If you think about his handling of the Houston Astros cheating scandal, and then the past couple of years have been really bad as well. So I still think Goodell's worse, but he's messing with baseball, and baseball fans don't like that. Got a lot of anxiety about if this season's going to happen or not. So
I didn't like him before, but I really didn't like him after he called the World Series trophy a hunk of metal.
Yes, that's the other thing I couldn't quite think of. Yeah, nice one. Thank you.
That one killed me.
What disrespect to the trophy that guys work all year for. Like, what is that? Can you imagine Adam Silver calling the Larry O'B a hunk of metal? Ridiculous.
Yeah, or Goodell calling the freaking Super Bowl trophy a hunk of metal. Get out of here. The Vince Lombardi trophy a hunk of metal.
Maybe he is the worst. You could
speaking of baseball, the Hall of Fame voting And I got into another argument today on Facebook because I get in this argument every time somebody says it.
Yep.
But they won't. People don't want to vote for the steroid era. Say keep cheaters out. Keep cheaters out. My philosophy on this is: look, baseball made billions of dollars, billions with a B, off of the steroid era, and they knew exactly what was happening. And then they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and they ran the bus over every single one of those players, backed it up, and ran over them again.
They sure did.
And the greatest player of all time, for me, number one on my list, I have 1A and 1B, right?
Okay.
And 1A is Babe Ruth, and 1B is Barry Bonds, or 1A is Barry Bonds, and 1B is Babe Ruth.
Yep.
Barry Bonds, to me, is the greatest player of all time. The stat that I always take with me is, I believe it was a 2004 season, maybe 2005, something like that. He had more times on base than he had at bats. That's how feared of a hitter he was.
232 walks. Unbelievable.
Yes. It was absolutely insane. And to keep that man out of the Hall of Fame is just stupid. Like, if you want to talk about, oh, this was the steroid era, blah, 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 it's still a part of baseball history. It's still a part. And not only that, baseball knew. Don't tell me they didn't know. Chicks take the long ball. You didn't tell me they didn't notice Sammy Sosa's arm size went from the size of mine to the size of what his is now, which is as big as my face. Like, there's no way they didn't know this stuff was going on, but they allowed it to go on because it was bringing baseball back. It was bringing baseball back from 94. It was bringing them back from the strike. They were down and out. And now all of a sudden, McGwire and Sosa were going at it. And Barry Bonds, people forget, he was still tiny back then. He had like 40 home runs, but he was obscured by the home run chase. And that's when he started shooting up because he wanted to be in that limelight. He wanted to be out there with those guys. And I think everybody was juicing back in the day. You'll never convince me Cal Ripken wasn't juicing. There's no way he played all those straight games without taking something for the nagging injuries that happened during the baseball years. Not to mention that many years straight. And Ken Griffey Jr., I think, was juicing. You look at, once they started testing, look at how fast the weight went onto his stomach when he was in Cincinnati and then Chicago. Look how fast he gained weight after they started testing, after the Balco stuff came out. To me, there are a lot of signs there. I don't believe, there might be a couple of guys who did it the right way. I think Frank Thomas might be one of those guys. He was always just a big dude. I don't think he got bigger as time went on. He was always just a massive human being.
Yeah.
And I hope to God Ken Griffey did it the right way. I just don't think he did. That's why I hate A-Rod so much. Is because A-Rod had all the talent. He had more talent in his pinky than a lot of guys had in their entire body, and he still went out and juiced.
Well,
so
I mean,
there are certain aspects of it that bother me, but it doesn't bother me that he did it because you know what? These are athletes. They're paid to entertain us. It's a game. They're paid to go out there and put on a show, and we loved every minute of it. We loved every minute. 1998 for me. 1998 will always be the one summer I will remember every single bit of. That chase was everything. And to now not let these guys in, it bothers the hell out of me that the Cubs don't let Sammy Sosa back to Wrigley. Bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah, I don't understand that. It seems like they want him to apologize for that for some reason. There was also a really bizarre 30 for 30 now. With him and with him as a cowboy, or was it Where Are They Now? Sports Illustrated, and his skin has gotten a lot lighter.
Yeah,
his life after baseball has been a complete roller coaster ride. A lot of things that I wanted to say, but I wanted to let you finish there. Look, I'm right there with you with Barry Bonds. For me, he's the best baseball player I've ever seen, and that's going back to his days with the Pittsburgh Pirates when he was a 30-30 threat every year. He was a 8-time Gold Glove winner. A lot of time people forget about that. He was a 2-time MVP winner with the Pirates before he even bulked up and went across the bay. So look, I think he's the best baseball player I've ever seen. I think his ego got the better of him, and he went on this maniacal kind of chase of beating McGuire's records and all this, and beating I guess Hank Aaron's records.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the player he was. I mean, A-Rod is probably the second best player I've ever seen, and to me, it's not even it's the cheating, but it's also the lying, and then the cheating again, and then the lying, and then trying to mess with MLB's investigation of biogenesis. It was just ridiculous.
Right.
So for me, I voted for Barry Bonds. I don't have an official MLB vote, but we did something at Jay's Journal when they wanted our input on this. I said Roger Clemens as well, because if you just take his career with Boston and Toronto, he won 2 Cy Youngs with the Blue Jays as well. Hall of Famer right there. Then he goes to the Yankees. He wins a couple World Series, another Cy Young or 2 at 9 more years. Unbelievable. The one other thing I wanted to say is, you know, when it comes to Cal Ripken, I don't know if he juiced or not, but people seem to be more forgiving of people doing it to kind of take the injuries away or make the injuries easier to deal with. Andy Pettitte admitted to doing that when he was with the Houston Astros, I believe with the Yankees as well. And people
Mike
were
Trout.
like, oh, well, I don't know about Trout if he's done
so
that.
Mike Trout is on. He has and I've heard this through many people that are in the game. I've worked in many circles around baseball. I've talked with many people that have the knowledge inside of the locker rooms, and he actually has an okay from MLB to do it because he has a thyroid issue.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear about that. It's all about the reputation, right? Mike Trout has a squeaky clean reputation. He's considered by some to be, you know, most to be an all-time great already. Same with Ken Griffey Jr. This guy was just kind of like Mr. Baseball. Shout out to Tom Selleck, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s. Once he got traded to Cincinnati, things started kind of derailing for him in his career and the injuries and things like that. But I don't know. David Ortiz is another guy that a lot of people have questions about.
He
how
tested
about Albert
positive.
Pujols? Yeah, he was named in the Mitchell report as well, I think.
Yeah, but everybody's going to let him in because everybody loves Big Papi. Look, Barry Bonds was a jerk. And we talk about it all the time on the show. Me and Soup Boss, when we talk baseball and we talk about Barry Bonds, we admit he was a jerk. And nothing proves more that he was a jerk than after he broke Hank Aaron's record, right? Because after he crosses home plate, he points to the sky. His son's waiting there to give him a hug, and he walks right past his son. Doesn't even acknowledge his son that he's there because he's like, this is my time, son. Like, that's who Barry Bonds is. And a lot of it, look, I know the backstory to Barry Bonds. He watched his father, Bobby, go through a lot of stuff with the media. The media kind of, you know, towards the end of his career kind of made him a villain. And he saw the way that his dad dealt with that. So he was always standoffish with the media. So I understand that part. But look, Barry Bonds was just an asshole. Not only the time when he walked past his son, but the comment when he was clearly nearing the end of his career, they said, how much longer should you go and retire or be a DH because of all the knee injuries you have? And he said, I'm not leaving the game until the top 2 home run hitters of all time are black. And that to me, that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, so what you're saying is you're just playing the game for personal reasons, and you don't care about your team, and that part rubs me the wrong way. So I agree he was a jerk, but his on the field stuff, by far the greatest player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing onto that. If you talk about questionable personalities, Curt Schilling. To me, Curt Schilling needs to be in the Hall of Fame. If you think about what he did with the Phillies to the Diamondbacks, World Series MVP, and then with the Red Sox, to me, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame, I should say. I don't know if I said MVP.
Do you think his numbers are there?
I think his numbers, when you consider what he did in the playoffs, are good enough. And like I said, I know he's been kind of labeled as this just terrible person, and he has said some things that are just brutal, but I think they're good enough in the kind of modern era of baseball, especially like I was saying, if you think about what he was able to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, Drew wants to know if we think Nolan Ryan I think Nolan Ryan was on a lot of things. I think cocaine. I think he was on Nolan Ryan was on a lot of stuff. Maybe he juiced, maybe he didn't. But that man was he was ridiculous. Alpha Rob wants to know, do you think those old Pirates team could have won a championship with Bonds, Bonilla, and Van Slyke?
Oh my gosh, I still think that Sid Bream was out in that 1992 slide coming home. I wanted it to be the Blue Jays and the Pirates. I that was when I was first kind of getting into baseball, just a little kid. And I can't say I know a ton about those teams, but RBI baseball too. They were a great team to be. Van Slyke and Bonilla, Bonds. Are you kidding me? They had Doug Drabeck too. They had some real good pitchers. They fell just short. I think they won almost 100 games that year. They could have won the World Series. And I'm really glad they didn't, because Blue Jays won it, but they were one of the best teams that probably didn't win a World Series. They're up there for sure.
Speaking of your Blue Jays, I know we're in a lockout right now. We've got all this stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff. I kind of educated our listeners on it on Monday about some of the things that are going on. Players, they want to be paid earlier, which they absolutely should be. That's something that definitely needs to change. Owners need to give in on that. The owners want expanded playoffs, and for whatever reason, the players are against that. I don't understand why. But the owners want expanded playoffs. Now, I'm all for – I think both sides are going to get a little bit of what they want, right? I believe we're going to get expanded playoffs. I believe we're going to get a DH in the National League. And I believe that players are going to get a revamped arbitration system, whether it's you're only under your rookie deal for 4 years like the NFL or whatever the case is. I think they're going to get something along those lines. So we're going to meet somewhere in between. I just hope it happens before February 1st, so we actually don't lose games. I think at some point it'll happen. So your Toronto Blue Jays, though, I saw an article saying that as soon as this thing is over, they are going to go after Freddie Freeman so hard that it's going to be absolutely impossible for him to say no to them.
Yeah, well, they might have maybe a 6th year in their back pocket. That might be the swaying thing. I've heard that everything at the beginning of this, all signs were pointing to a reunion with Atlanta. He's spent his whole career there, but apparently he wanted a 6th year. And Alex Anthopoulos and company they didn't want to do it. They said, "How about we'll give you 5 years and we'll pony up a bit more coin." But I think he really kind of put his foot down or put a line in the sand or whatever, and then things kind of dissolved a bit, and now we're sitting in the lockout. I've heard these rumors about him coming to Toronto. I don't know how it's going to work. Do you move Vladdy over to third base? Do you play Vladdy a lot at DH? I'm not sure how that would work on the field, but as far as the lineup, I mean, my goodness, that would just be unbelievable. Adding MVP, really a top 10 player in Major League Baseball to the Blue Jays, who already have burgeoning stars across that team and a really good pitching staff as well. This could be a trendy World Series pick for sure.
Yeah, that is to me. That is a lineup you don't want to see ever. When you have to go with what they have with all their young talent there. When you're talking about Vlad Jr., what do you do with him? Who cares what you do with him? You put him somewhere in that damn lineup and you find somewhere for him to play that he's happy. He'd probably be happy being a DH. Then you got Freeman. You've got is there other kid there? What's his face? His son, Bichette.
Yeah.
And so they've got some talent there, man. That pitching staff is really good. They're going to be. I think they're already a trendy pick. But if you add Freeman to that mix, I just don't. I think they're more than just a pick at that point. I really do. They're just that good. It's tough for me. Not having baseball, not having the winter meetings, not having all this hot stove stuff. I hate not being able to talk about it. It's my favorite time of the year. I watch MLB Network all year, every day. And I don't get enough baseball. I absolutely love the sport. It's my first love. It's the one love that's never let me down, other than Michelle, obviously. But she's only been around for 2 years. The rest of the baseball's been around my entire life. So
there you go.
But I just, to me, it's driving me nuts. I think that the players and the owners both just need to get to this and get this taken care of, and then maybe they can fire Rob Manfred.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I need them to figure it out, and I'll throw out another kind of possibility for the Blue Jays as well that for me makes a lot more sense. Chris Bryant. Look, they need someone at third base. I don't think they're going to run it back with Kevin Biggio and Santiago Espinal. Those guys could be part-time players, or they have a hole at second base as well. Now with
are you going to go
gone.
Texas Rangers and spend half a billion and go and get Bryant and Freeman?
Look, I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm fine if they get, kind of a mid-level kind of veteran guy like Josh Harrison or something, but that's not a splashy move that the fans are going to love. This management group seems to really be aggressive in going after a World Series. They won 91 games, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Buck and I were all over the Blue Jays World Series champions 2022. He threw me the softball, and I swung and missed. But the second time I saw it, I knocked that sucker out of the park. I said White Sox the first time. You'll like that.
Look, being a Cubs fan, it's ever since 2016, man. We won a World Series. Whatever happens after that happened. I saw one in my lifetime, which is something my grandfather couldn't say, which is something that his father couldn't say. I've seen one in my lifetime. And I want them to get back on track. I think they're far away. Marcus Stroman was a nice little signing before the strike hit, and so the White Sox though are probably the most fun team to watch in Chicago. They are a lot of fun. They're young. They're talented. I think that they made a huge mistake hiring their manager Tony La Russa. I think that's been, and I think it will be again, the reason why they don't win a World Series. I think that, under different management last year, they would have won a World Series. I fought like hell through just talking and everything to get them to hire Ozzie Guillen again, because Ozzie Guillen would have had this team winning the World Series. He would have.
Do you think they were better than Houston or Tampa Bay or even the Red Sox?
Yes.
Okay, because that's not what I saw in the regular season. They got their
well, no, it's not what you saw. It's not what you saw because Tony La Russa is set in his laurels, and Tony La Russa is not one of those guys who runs a bullpen very well, and he's not one of those guys who really ran his pitching staff very well. You could clearly see that after trading for one of the best closers of all time and trying to make him an eighth inning setup man, that he wasn't comfortable in that role. And Tony La Russa refused to put him in the ninth inning and switch it up because Liam Hendriks would have thrived in that role.
Yeah.
Like it made no sense to me that he didn't do that. It made no sense, in the playoffs where he's leaving one pitcher in for far too long, taking one pitcher out far too early, running your bullpen all over the place in that first round of play. It was so disheartening to watch that team in that playoff setting, because I firmly believe they were better than the Red Sox. I firmly believe they were better than the Astros. I believe the White Sox are the best team in the American League, but it will never show as long as Tony La Russa is their manager.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his as well. I mean, he had some success in Oakland. He should have had more success. He won a couple World Series in St. Louis as well. But I think he's a real hard-headed man, and he's on the wrong side of 70. He's getting closer to 80. So I don't know how long he's going to kind of hold the reins there in Chi-Town, but maybe 1 or 2 more years. And I think they need to hire a more new age Gabe Kapler type of manager who's more into the analytics and some of the new ideas. Or they could throw it back to Ozzie Guillen as well. I don't hate that.
Ozzie Guillen would be a great manager for this team. All the Latin talent that they have, all the flair that they have, Ozzie Guillen is perfect for this club. And the fact that they haven't he does their pre and post game. The fact that they haven't brought him back to be their manager, it flabbergasts me. But At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and let you go here. I know you've got some people over. I know you've been staying on with me longer than you needed to. I appreciate the talk about youth coaches, and I always appreciate the baseball talk. Man, we need to get together and just do a whole show just about baseball, you and me.
You got it, Combs. Hey, if they end this lockout and find some sort of common ground, I'll be as happy as pie and really very happy to talk baseball with you. You got it.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm right there with you, brother. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, you bet. So jaysjournal.com. We recently did a collaborative thing with the Hall of Fame vote. Some of our writers there kind of chiming in on who their picks were. I kind of teased a little bit of my selections. Also bellyupsports.com, typically in the MLB tab there. Again, it's been a bit of a slow time, but I might have to get creative in the coming weeks if they are not able to come up to with some sort of agreement. Also Bus Wallace on the Twitter machine, as Buck would say. Also, you can find me on IG, as the kids say, Instagram. So come holla at your boy there.
All right. He is Graham Wallace. It's always fun to talk to him. Graham, thank you very much, man. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, Combs. See ya.
Later. All right. So always fun to talk with Graham Wallace. I'm going to get to a quick break. And when I come back, as promised, we're going to get to the Combs eye test. And you guys are not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. Be back. 2 minutes. What is going on, Man Hour Nation? We are back. Chat is blowing up. Everybody's talking about, we talked a little bit of baseball. People are going back and forth. I heard somebody talking about the Killer Bees. Biggio, Bagwell, and Bell. But these guys are talking about Bonilla, Bonds, Bream, Batista, and Bell. Look, there are a lot of great teams in the 90s. The Pittsburgh Pirates were one of them. A lot of people forget about them. They probably would have won the World Series in 1994. A lot of people think it was the Expos. I think that the Pirates were better than the Expos that year. But you know, there's a lot of teams that go through. I see people bringing out the Dibble and Davis and Sabo and O'Neill, the Nasty Boys, the Reds of the 90s. Yeah, I mean, look, you guys are killing it over there in the chat. Drew, appreciate you. Alpha Rob, appreciate you. Buck's been in there all night. Michelle's been in there. I've seen for a little while we had Trent in there. So we've had a lot of people in the chat. If you're watching over on Roku TV, your chance to get in the chat, chime in with us, get into it. It is live on YouTube and Facebook Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central to 9 p.m. Central. That's my time here in Chicago. But it's time for the Combs Eye Test. So we like to end every night with the Combs Eye Test. And my Combs Eye Test is going towards the NFL. We talked already about the Nate Burns thing, and we already talked about how, the NFL doesn't care about anything but money. Micah Parsons got placed on the COVID list today, Wednesday. Well, the Dallas Cowboys have a game on Saturday. It's 3 days away. And there's hope in the Dallas Cowboys organization that Micah Parsons is going to be able to play. How does Micah Parsons play 3 days after testing positive for COVID? 3 days after testing positive for COVID. The rest of us in the real world, it's 10 days. I don't understand how we get to where we're at with the NFL, with the exception of they don't care about the safety of their players. They don't care about anything but money. And look, you guys all know well and good how I feel about COVID. We've mentioned it many times on here. That's not what this is about. This is about what we've set going forward. Look, here in Chicago, kids are out of school right now. They went back to straight computer learning, with e-learning. And no more classroom stuff. Maybe in a couple weeks, maybe longer than that. Because the teachers voted that it was unsafe to be back in schools. Stupid. Wish I could work from home every single day. But the NFL is saying that 3 days later, and Drew chimes in. Drew says the NFL shortened the period from 10 to 5 days. That's fine. I'm good with that. It's still only 3, though. It's still only 3 for Michael Parsons. He just got placed on the COVID list today. And he's going to play Saturday night. Their game, Dallas Cowboys, play Saturday night. And they're hopeful that he'll be able to play. I don't understand the NFL, but this is another case of a primetime NFL game. And Michael Parsons is a primetime player, great player. Great player. Hands down, the Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year is Michael Parsons. And it is now going to be 3 days. That's against everything that they have now. Usually they shorten it from 10 to 5. This is 3 days. The NFL doesn't care. The NFL cares about money. The NFL cares about putting its product on the field. But just say that. Why have all these rules? Why come out so hard and say, hey, look, if you're unvaccinated and you play, or if you're unvaccinated and you get COVID, you're going without pay. Until what? Until a player with notoriety breaks the rules. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers told the media, told everybody, I'm vaccinated. Wasn't vaccinated. Never had the vaccination. Did listen to Joe Rogan, went out and did his own thing and got some sort of blood transfusion or something. I don't understand the whole thing, but not the vaccination. And I understand, look, it's your choice. We shouldn't even know whether or not somebody's vaccinated. To me, that's your medical decision, that's your medical choice. I mean, we actually have laws against stuff like that. But now everybody gets to know because of all the political affiliations with everything. So The NFL keeps preaching, oh, we're going to crack down on this. We're going to crack down on that. COVID's a big deal. COVID's this. COVID's that. It's just not. You don't care. And that's fine. Just say you don't care. I'm okay that Micah Parsons is playing. I could care less. Still going to watch the game. Still want to see Micah Parsons play well. The one that bothers me more is the one, that we had earlier that we talked about was the Nate Hobbs thing. That bothers me more. That one makes me actually root against the Raiders on Sunday night when I was actually going to be rooting for the Raiders. Completely flipped after that Nate Hobbs thing. Again, the NFL only cares about money. The NFL does not care about anything else. And that's fine. But the NFL should just say that. That's the Combs eye test, people. It is time for us to get out of here. But before we do, as always, Man Hour Nation, rise up.